Hey, howdy, hey, folks. It is Mrs. Johnson with the Agri Wisdom Channel. We're talking today again about genetics, specifically in tiger eyes and eye colors. And we'll jump right into a research article and kind of scroll through it and kind of poke around. This is a free research article, so if you want to deep dive and read the whole thing, you can. But I'm not going to be reading the whole thing today. So, let's see. Two variants in SLC24A5 are associated with tiger eye, iris pigmentation, in Puerto Rican Paso Fino horses. Yay! This was published in a time 2017. So almost a decade ago. And I wanted to show you kind of what cool research is still out there to be had. In terms of color genetics. And so if this is something you're really interested in and really take a lot of interest in learning, go for it. There's options for you to actually get paid to do research and experience with it, experience what these kinds of things do in real life, even if it's just volunteer work too. So let's see. For those of you who don't know what a tiger eye is, I will actually, a unique eye color called tiger eye segregates in the Puerto Rican Paso Fino horse breed and is characterized by a bright yellow, amber, or orange iris. Pedigree analysis identified a simple autosomal recessive mode of inheritance for this trait. And I won't read the whole thing, but essentially what they did is they saw this pattern in specifically Puerto Rican Paso Fino horses, which is where a lot of these unique color genes first start. So like the Appaloosa and the paint genes and those things, oftentimes when we study them in genetics, we take specific pairings of very like groups, kind of like we do with EPDs, and we take very specific pairings and we go and we decide whether or not it works in that group, and that's our thesis: is like, do the genes work in this specific small group? Yes or no? And then we expand from there. So now there's lots and lots of breeds that can have, a lot of paint genes or a lot of paint and color marking genes in horses specifically, and also in dogs like brindle and all sorts of stuff. And we started researching those as small little things in one specific group, and we built out from there. So this is essentially how we've built a lot of the color genetics that we know. And then, dun dun dun. Let's see. This is also important. In mammals, eye color is determined by the quantity and packaging of melanin in the iris. Human iris color variation research has determined that blah, 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 genetics of iris color in humans has been historically investigated as a simple Mendelian trait. Blue eyes explained as a recessive trait. However, this hypothesis fails to explain intermediate colors such as green and hazel, does not explain the reported instances in which blue eyes do not follow a simple recessive Mendelian inheritance pattern. So that is demonstrating prior research going, hey, yeah, no, we already know that there's other things going on. Like, majority of blue-brown iris variation has been explained by mutations in two loci, two locuses, in the genes. And they go on to name those. And, often associated with ocular anomaly. So what they're doing here is just trying to explain, where these eye color variations are coming from, and trying to explain where the research is currently. Some knowledge on the iris color variation has come from studying coat color locuses. Dun, dun, dun. Here we report the first study to unravel the genetics of an iris color variant with no known coat dilution or white spotting in horses. So they have found tiger's eye in Puerto Rican Paso Finos in particular to be not independent of coat color. Tiger eye, goat eye. And they've got some examples down here of what tiger eye would mean in this sense of the study. These 3 options were things that they considered to be yes, tiger eye. They excluded these options from the study, and then they kept brown eye color in as their wild type or their opposing piece. Phenotype scale for them. Now, the final sample set included 32 tiger eye samples. That is not a whole lot, but it's a great start. Particularly with Puerto Rican Paso Finos, because Paso Finos are, if you know anything about Paso Finos, they're often they're island breeds, and so they're very small populations anyway. And then they did pedigree analysis where it was available. GWS was performed, so genotyping. They did replication testing. They did candidate gening. All sorts of cool stuff. Let's see. Results. This is what I wanted to talk about. Of the 216 Puerto Rican Paso Final horses sampled, parental iris color phenotype can be confirmed for 41 horses. In 5 matings of tiger eye crossed with tiger eye, all offspring had the tiger eye phenotype. The other mating combinations resulted in tiger eye or wild type offspring in the ratios expected by a simple recessive trait. This data is consistent with brown iris color being dominant to tiger eye. All 3 base coat colors described in the horse are represented in the tiger eye population dataset. No obvious trend between shade of tiger eye color and coat color was observed. And so they probably did a whole bunch of data and research, and could probably pull up these files and really deep dive. The tiger eye was detected more in females than males. However, the ratio is representative of ratio of males and females sampled in our total population. So yes, more females had it than males, but also they got more female babies than they did male babies. And so, yeah. See? And this is where those simple Mendelian ratios that we talked about, what's the genetic percentage? What's the phenotype percentage? What's the ratios? And kind of talking about those and really seeing those. Because once you learn those things, you can kind of look around the world around you, particularly when you're working with horses all the time, or you're breeding horses all the time, or breeding dogs, or breeding cattle, and you can kind of start to understand the genetic preconditions for things and go, oh yeah, if I breed this one with that one, I can kind of know what I'm going to get just based on instinct at this point, and just taking that a little bit further and going, I can genetically test this animal, and I can genetically test that animal, and I can actually get hard concrete data on what will happen if I want a certain animal to be a certain way. Rather than breeding a bunch until you get that, you can do the data, make the right choice the first time, and not put animals through undue stress of breeding and pregnancy and all the things. And yeah, so I thought this was kind of a cool research article to point out and kind of take a peek at. And so, tiger eye has not been documented in any other breed other than Puerto Rican Paso Fino to date. Four breeds were screened for the two identified tiger eye variants. Genotyped for the tiger eye 1 and 2 alleles are found to be homogeneous for the reference alleles at both locusts. This provides further support to the notion that there are casual variants for the tiger eye phenotype, which is cool. And then they go into lots of things, but anyway, there we go. Conclusion. The study identified a locust that is strongly associated with the tiger eye phenotype in Puerto Rican Paso Fino horses. 2 mutations in the pigmentation gene explain the majority of iris color in this breed. Both mutations are projected to be deleterious and are in highly conserved regions, supporting the conclusion that these 2 mutations are causative. Lots of data. So, basically, there's genes that affect it, and they've been pushed that way, from my understanding. But, yeah, without further ado, I think I'm going to let you go and just kind of chew on this, sit on this for a while, and come back for my next video, because we're doing some fun simulation stuff with genetics, and it'll be kind of fun. So, bye! Have a good day. I hope you learned something. Stay safe.